Yet, even amidst the hatred and carnage, life is still worth living. It is possible for wonderful encounters and beautiful things to exist. Hayao Miyazaki.
Well, last time we talked about the first Ghibli 6 movies, like Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, Castle in the Sky, My Neighbor Totoro, Kiki's Delivery Service, Only Yesterday, and Porco Rosso. And we simply cannot wait to talk about more Studio Ghibli movies today.
So, yeah, hello everyone and welcome to this week's Out of Cast, your program completely in English as it is pretty obvious. So yeah, as you all recall, we talked about Ghibli movies and we can't simply wait to get into more Ghibli movies. But before getting into them, you can follow us on our socials, which are
on Facebook as Roma Tre Radio, on our Twitter account as Roma Tre Radio, and well, you can watch our beautiful faces on our Instagram account as Roma Tre Radio, 3 as a number, and well, of course, you can always listen to us on our streaming website, radio.uniroma3.it, and on the TuneIn app as Roma Tre Radio.
So, thank you all. Don't go anywhere, we'll have a pause and we'll be back very soon. Let's move on quickly to... I'm having brain F's.
Are you alright?
Let's
Let's call 911.
Whisper of the Heart coming out in 1995. Set in the summertime in Tokyo, 1994, Shizuko is a young girl student and book lover who often goes to school library to borrow new volumes of the books. Now one day she notices that in her checkout card there is the surname of another student who took the exact same books before her. Now she then starts to daydream of this boy named Seiji Amasawa, wondering who he may be. But unfortunately, when she meets him, it doesn't live up to her expectations, let's say. And it's not the guy she used to daydream. He's a musician, a violinist, and his dream is to become a great violin maker. Although at first the two doesn't really seem to see each other or like even each other, but in time they become to like each other. And all of that is because of our protagonist female character discovers an antique shop, and within there's a statue of a cat called the Baron, which Shizuku starts to picture as the hero of a book she's writing. Now, Whisper of the Heart is actually based on a 1989 manga by the same name, and it's written by Hayao Miyazaki and directed by Yoshifumi Kondo. This was Kondo's first and unfortunately last direction for Studio Ghibli before his early death in 1998.
Well, the studio hoped that Kondo will help become Miyazaki and Takahata's successor thanks to his work as animator on over Studio Ghibli's successful films, just like Princess Mononoke or Kiki's Delivery Service. Whisper of the Heart was the first Ghibli film to use digital animation and the computer to generate the famous dreamlike sequence. Buildings and planets were designed traditionally, but they were all linked together thanks to CGI. The famous country famous country song by John Denver, "Take Me Home, Country Roads," plays often during the movie due to Shizuki to sing it at school chorus club. For the occasion, a Japanese version of the song was made, calling it "Concrete Road" and referring to her hometown. Whisper of the Heart was the highest grossing Japanese film on the domestic market in 1995, grossing 3 billion yen, the total box office revenue. It was even well received by the critics, praising it with soft tone. And Michael Toole on Anime News Network called it a beautiful and evocative, fine tale of adolescent yearning and aspiration. Over the Tomatoes, it holds a 91% of positive reviews, and Time Out London included on the top 15 animated films list. Welcome back once more to Outcast, and now we're going to talk about Princess Mononoke from 1997. At the first sight, Princess Mononoke seems like an action fantasy animation with a such
That's
exciting and amusing conscience.
We have missed our tooth and missed our brain at home.
Our brains are farting every 10 seconds probably right now. So, with a bunch of interesting and amusing characters making this animation entertainment for the spectators, we assure you that you won't be bored, since it's considered as the most active, aggressive, bloodiest, and by that we literally mean it's full of sequences with lots of blood for your gore fantasies, and action-packed film of Studio Ghibli, while protecting his village from a rampaging war god that's turned into demon by rage and anger. The brave young warrior prince Ashtaka is stricken by a deadly curse. To save others and himself from this deadly curse, he must journey to a forest of the west. And once there, he's encountered a fierce town called the Iron Town that humans were waging war against the forest and gods of the forest. The ambitious Lady Eboshi and her royal people and soldiers use the guns against the gods of the forest and a brave young woman, Princess Mononoke, who was raised by a wolf god. Ashtaka sees the good in both sides and tries to tame the flow of blood. This is met by animosity by both sides as they see him as supporting the enemy, of course.
So yeah, this movie for sure is one of the best Studio Ghibli works, hands down. It features the beautiful artwork, interesting and relatable characters, and an intriguing plot with a valuable message about man and its conflict with nature, showcasing how we see and misuse nature. The message actually comes from Shintoism, a religion in Japan that highly believes in the power and gods of the nature, and how and why we should respect them. Now, obviously, this anime has bunch of gods designed and showcased masterfully, but also at the same time very vulnerable and mortal, like the forest itself. Now, on the other hand, there are humans who want to progress and step up, but by destroying and disrespecting gods and nature. So that actually doesn't work out. Now, the movie acts very wise with a sort of a wink to industrialism, with balance. What balances the story between human and nature is actually the character of Ashitaka trying to do whatever he can, protecting both humans and nature and helping both. And even there's a scene where he clearly says, "I just want people on forest to live in peace." Now, the movie also represents very strong female characters, which in general in Studio Ghibli is not actually that rare. So, and on Rotten Tomatoes, it has a very awesome score of 93%, and it has sold more than 159 million at the worldwide box office. Moving on to 1999 with My Neighbors the Yamadas. Now, for sure, this movie is actually one of the most underrated movies of Studio Ghibli, and actually a movie that not many know about or have even heard about it. So this is the one. And if you also, by the way, if you would ask me on the scale of 1 to 10, how different is this movie from other Ghibli Studios movies, I would say a 10. A solid 10.
Totally?
Yeah, totally.
Totally. So, can our family drama comedy show be implemented in animation? Well, yes, it can. Even episodic one like My Neighbors the Yamadas, the story of a funny family that every day something new happens to them, and the extraordinary hilarious reaction to these events will make you laugh out loud more than 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 times. But there's something special about it, which makes it very different and unique, just like Hilya already said, as a Studio Ghibli anime film, and it's a simple design that actually looks like some kind of children painting.
Yes, but more on that later.
Typical scenarios involved the family coming back for a trip to the mall, only to discover that they left their daughter, the dull-eyed Nonoko, behind. Isn't it like the Home Alone plot?
Sort of, but this is just one episode of the whole movie.
Which is Another incident involves Grandma Shige trying to stare down a motorcycle gang, and there's also Mr. Yamada flight of fancy as the master rider, and the day Mrs. Yamada the tomato ginger. What the heck is a ginger? In the miso soup, throwing the whole family to total short-term memory breakdown. So overall, the movie is full of episodic everyday stories, such like a slice of life and of a normal Japanese family, and just like its home video cover on which it says the ups and downs of life.
But it's so cute and it's so funny. You gotta love all of the characters and laugh with them. So the most spectacular thing about this movie is for sure its the visual style, which is so obvious when you search for it on the internet and you watch the trailer. The watercolor style to it and the simple design, not just the characters but also the ambient. It all at the end makes sense more when you compare it to the story, which is an everyday life of, let's say, any middle class family. So the style is very different from any other Ghibli works. Now at the end, the Rotten Tomatoes rate for this movie is 78% and it grossed more than $11 million at the box office. As you just heard, we are about to talk about a brilliant, breathtaking movie that just won the Oscars and is the only Japanese anime that has won it, and it's Spirited Away that came out in 2001. Now, together with Howl's Moving Castle, when Spirited Away was released, it was very, very, very well received and still today is considered as one of Hayao Miyazaki's masterpieces. The movie loosely based on the novel, which is translated, this is the name, The Wonderful Town Beyond the Mist, sees Chihiro, a 10-year-old girl, traveling with her parents to their new home, following the shortcut, which that was a huge mistake. They happened to lose the way, and then finding an abandoned amusement park, Chihiro goes on exploration, finding a bathhouse on the other side of the river, while her parents start eating on a seemingly empty restaurant stall. Stocked with food, a boy named Haku from inside the bathhouse warns her to return across the river before sunset. However, the young girl can't help but find her parents turned into pigs and she is unable to cross the flooded river.
And well, now let's get you some special spicy fun facts for ya.
Awesome!
Fun facts! So the script for Spirited Away was born with idea by Miyazaki of making a movie dedicated to the 10-year-old daughter of one of his friends via associate producer Seiji Okuda. After reading some shoujo mangas and having little girls as main characters, the focus of Spirited Away wasn't meant to be just, stereotyped. Oh, senpai, please notice me! Crushes and stupid love stories. So Miyazaki did not want to make the hero just a pretty girl just and nothing, but he decided to make her a heroine whom little girls could look up to instead. And at the beginning, it was so frustrated at how Chihiro looked at first because she looked dull and thought she isn't cute, isn't that something we can do? And as the film neared towards the end, however, he was relieved to feel she will be a charming woman totally 100%. That's not what he said, but bear with me. So as a matter of fact, we could look at Spirited Away as a personal growth movie with Chihiro establishing her identity. The thematic dualism of her names, like the heroine and the one she used instead inside the city, makes it even clearer. With the death of one side means she doesn't make it. For the English adaptation, John Lasseter, Pixar's animator and film producer, convinced Disney to get the rights to dub the movie. He, being a fan and friend of Miyazaki, took care of adaptation and voice cast.
Now, Spirited Away received universal critical acclaim, being nominated for 37 awards all around the world, winning 34 of them, including Critics' Choice Award, Tokyo Anime Awards, Berlin International Film Festival, Annie Awards, and Academy Awards. Now, it has 97% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it also, in the year 2010, Rotten Tomatoes ranks Spirited Away as the 13th best animated film on the website. Also, Cinefantastic listed in his 10 essential animations list. It's basically thanks to Spirited Away that the Japanese animation got the attention it deserved by the rest of the world.
Well, now let's get to The Cat Returns from 2002. So this is kind of sequel to Whisper of the Heart.
Kind of, and Studio Ghibli doesn't really do sequels.
That's okay.
Yeah,
Just look at Disney sequels, please. They're terrible to myself. I died. So, The Cat Returns can be described as some kind of mixture of Fellini and
Alice in Wonderland.
Wonderland thrown into a Japanese animation movie. It doesn't even sound so bad, and well, right, it's really a fabulous movie, and it's
Yeah, I know, right?
So you may enjoy
It's a movie for cat lovers.
Absolutely. So you may totally love to watch some talkative funny cats. It's a film directed by Hiroyuki Morita and produced by Toshio Suzuki. Surprise! Because you haven't heard the name of Miyazaki nor Takahata in this movie.
Ooh,
spooky!
Wow.
So, this story talks about a teenage girl who rescues a mysterious cat from the traffic, and soon she finds herself the unwelcome recipient of gifts and favors from the king of the cats, who once also had to marry his son with Prince Sloan. With the assistance of a, let's say, a bit fat cat and an elegant cat called Baron, the girl visits the cat kingdom, and after a very short stay, she finds out that she actually has to escape.
Now, The Cat Returns is actually a really good sequel, sort of sequel, because the only character that is still the same is the, let's say, the fat white cat, and the Baron. These are the two main things that stayed the same. The other changed. So that's why we called it sort of a quote-unquote sequel, because it is and it's not a sequel. Now, it's still very good. It's soft with vivid colors and showcasing in a very cute way. Let's say we love the love that we give to cats. Also, a fun fact here, in the English dubbed version, Anne Hathaway does the voice acting of Haru, our main protagonist. The movie is also surprisingly very short in comparison to other Studio Ghibli movies, which are about 2 hours, but this one lasts only 75 minutes. Now, the titular cat, Baron Humbert von Giekingen,
I think.
Yeah, I know. Who was featured in Ghibli's Whisper of the Heart, returns to help Haru out. They then travel to the cat world and have mystical adventures and etc. When it comes to the grand fantasy tale of little girls lost in wonderfully strange worlds, The Cat Returns is no Spirited Away, unfortunately, but still, it's an adventure film with very memorable moments and some messages for young girls and, in general, young generations. Now, on Rotten Tomatoes, it has got 90%, and in the box office, it has gained more than 54 million. Moving on to 2004 with Howl's Moving Castle.
This amazingly astonishing animated fantasy film is written and directed by Hayao Miyazaki. The film is loosely based on the 1986 novel of the same name by British author Diana Wynne Jones. The film was produced by Toshio Suzuki, animated by Studio Ghibli, and distributed by Toho. The Japanese voice actor cast featured Kie Kobayashi and Takuya Kimura, while the version dubbed in English starred Christian Bale as Howl, and Emily Mortimer as the young Sophie, and Jen Simmons as the granny old Sophie, Billy Crystal as Calcifer, and Josh Hutcherson as Markle. Do you want to go on? Because my phone, it's all broken. Why?
So the movie actually tells the story of a young girl that is named Sophie, and she is cursed by a witch of the waste. And this curse could makes her that she can actually talk about the curse. Now, on the other hand, the movie also tells the story of Howl, a wizard and partially demon that is running away from kings of multiple kingdoms to avoid participating in the war between these kingdoms. And of course, there's a sparkle of love, obviously, at the very moment they meet at the same time.
Hello, I can hear again.
Great.
Great. So, if you asked me from the scale of 1 to 10, how good is this movie? I would definitely say 9. If you also ask me how magical and fantasy is this movie, my answer will be a 10 out of 10 for sure.
Yes.
And yes, I know it may seem too much. No, it's not. But it's much freaking good. The movie is also very heavily anti-war. It's influenced by Miyazaki's distaste for the 2003 Iraq War. Well, actually, when he received an Oscar for Spirited Away, he said that he had a great deal of rage about the war, so he felt some hesitation about the award itself. Miyazaki identifies as a pacifist, of course, and on the eve of the Iraq War, Miyazaki decided to make a film that he felt would be poorly received in the United States. But we all know that didn't happen, since the movie gained over $235 million worldwide on a budget of $24 million.
Now, the movie is actually breathtaking to watch and grasp the anti-war theme, and metaphors will affect you and make you think more about such matters. The love between these two main characters is very subtle and doesn't feel rushed. The movie also points out in a very metaphoric way to ageism, showcasing although our protagonist is old most of the time of the movie, her strength and compassion has no limits whatsoever, and it has actually some elements to show it that the music will stick into your mind during through your whole life, and trust me on that. And the amazing score is actually composed by Joe Hisaishi.
So the film received critical acclaim, particularly for its visuals and Miyazaki's presentation of events. It was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Animated Theatre at the 78th Academy Awards and won several other awards, including even 4 Tokyo Anime Awards and a Nebula Award for Best Script. Strang? Oh, no, okay.
No.
Bene. Yeah, because we did something really embarrassing.
In the shallow, shallow, shallow. Okay. In the shallow, the shallow now.
E ora un jingle per la prevenzione contro l'AIDS.
Moving on to 2008 with Ponyo, or some say Ponyo on the Cliff. Now, the movie is actually loosely based on the novel of Iya En, I think.
Yeah.
Written by Rieko Nakagawa and featuring Yuriko Yamawaki illustrations. Ponyo on the Cliff by the Sea, or Gake no Ue no Ponyo, tells this lovely story of a 5-year-old boy named Susuke, who develops a relationship with Ponyo, a young goldfish princess who longs to become a human after falling in love with him. How beautiful is that? It's beautiful. Now, the English dub version has an impressive cast. Noah Cyrus as Sosuke, Yuria Nara as Ponyo, Kate Blanchett as Grand Mamare, Matt Damon as Koichi, Tomusho
Yamaguchi.
Yeah, thank you. And Tina Fey as Riza. Why not? This is not actually best Miyazaki's film ever.
It's actually quite boring.
There are more than a couple of reasons. Now, Ponyo is visually actually really stunning, a fairy tale that it took a while to make it. Now, what we mean by while, it's actually quite a lot. So, it happened starting in October 2006. All of this happened because the whole movie took nothing less than 170,000 traditional animation cells, which was a record-breaking even according to Ghibli's standards back then. And Miyazaki himself, the big man, wanted to have an actual active role in the animation team by storyboarding and animating all the sea and wave scenes himself in the entire movie, because he regarded them as the most important element of the story.
Ponyo the Cliff Boy received won over 15 awards and even more nominees worldwide, such as 2 Annie Awards nominees for directing a feature production to Hayao Miyazaki and another one for music in a feature production to Joe Hisaishi, a nominee at the Hong Kong Film Award for Best Asian Film, 2 awards at the Japanese Academy for Best Film Score and Best Animation Film, and the Fujinobura Award at the Maïti Film Concours, and, well, hear me out, 2 awards at the Venice Film Festival. The first for Future Film Festival Digital Award. It's so
heavy
long.
stuff. Heavy stuff, guys. It's a heavy stuff.
And
it's a bit hard to sell.
Absolutely. And last but not least, I'm nominee for a goddammit Gold Lion to Hayao Miyazaki. And if you are not impressed by now, well, let me tell you how much the movie gained at the box office only. $201.8 million from a $34 million budget, which doesn't even include the home video release. And on Rotten Tomatoes, you will find an extremely high 92 score, which is honest after all, don't you think?
So, this has been our second show on Studio Ghibli Movies, a magical studio with a magical world that has created, telling us that our dreams are valid and deep inside we're just simply human beings and we can actually do better than that. Isn't that true?
Maybe.
And with very strong messages for female audience, to be very specific, with very strong female characters. Isn't that so?
Yeah, totally.
Total.
I kind of lost what she was trying to say. Sorry, I did you get it? Yeah, I get it.
So, this has been our second show, and next week we will have the last and third show on Studio Ghibli, analyzing the very recent movies of this studio.
Including Princess Kaguya.
Including Princess Kaguya, which is also, that movie is breathtaking, very breathtaking, and very, again, different. I mean, if you watch very closely and pay attention, you realize that Isao Takahata's work, that are Princess Kaguya, Only Yesterday, and My Neighbors the Yamadas, those are Isao Takahata's, and those are really different than the other works of Studio Ghibli.
Even the art style is very different.
Exactly, the design, the style of it, visual style of it, and the way of storytelling of these 3 movies, to be very specific. So, before saying goodbyes, let's review our socials again.
You can find us on our Facebook page as Roma Tre Radio, on our Twitter account as Roma Tre Radio, and on our Instagram account as Roma Tre Radio. Remember, I always said it, but please remember the Roma Tre Radio Twitter number. We have another account with the 3 written in letters, but it's not active anymore. And you can listen to our streaming website as radio.romatree.it, and finally on the TuneIn app as Roma Tre Radio.
Thanks to our director, Saeed,
who has done a great job today.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. And we have been your hosts. I was Helia the Bluehead.
And Twinkle Nora.
Thank you all for tuning in, and until the next time.
Goodbye.